So, guys, I know a lot of you say that you don't have time for reading and all that, but this video is specifically for people who have so much time now. You have another 14 days to live before the lockdown is over. So, if you're looking to read a few books, this is the video for you. I'm going to be recommending 5 books you guys can probably read, and let's start. So, the first book I would like to recommend to those of you who probably have not read this book, it's a fiction book. It's called Catcher in the Rye. I think the protagonist is a 14-year-old boy, and he's in a uh, he's in a hostel, and he has a very funny way of expressing himself, and I think you will laugh a lot in the book. This is considered by many as a classic. So it's a classic, but it's also very humorous. So you won't find yourself bored or distracted very easily, and you'll want to know what's happening with the kid. I read this when I was 21. I wish I had read this when I was 15. Maybe I read it when I was 23 or 24 actually. Anyways, the point is, you gotta read Catcher in the Rye by JD Salinger. There you go. That's the first book. The second book I would like to recommend is a very small book which you can finish in 4 hours. It's called The Old Man and the Sea. It's written by Ernest Hemingway, and the book is about an old man who's having a terrible day. He's a fisherman, and he's having a very bad day, and as he goes fishing, he finds that there's a very big fish or a whale or some massive fish he's found in the sea, and he now wants to get it. But things take a turn for the opposite, and the fish starts to attack the old man. So now they both are fighting, this old man who's lived all of his life and the big fish. And to say it's interesting would be an understatement. It's just one of the best reads, and Ernest Hemingway, man, what do I even say about him? This is definitely a classic. There's no two ways about it. Number 3 book I would like to recommend to you is a book which has a lot of crime and humor. This book is called Bonfire of the Vanities. It's written by Wolfe. It's an outstanding book based in New York about a man who's cheating on his wife, and among many other things. And it has a lot of lawyers. It has a lot of corruption, bureaucracy, everything, and it's really funny. It's probably the funniest book in this series. Recommendations. It's a hilarious book. It's called Bonfire of the Vanities by Wolfe, and I suggest you read it. A quick suggestion: it's a very big book, so if you want to read just one book, this could be that book. Number 4 book I would like to recommend to you is a book called 5-Second Rule by Robbins. It's something which I just finished 10 days back, and it's an outstanding book. I'm going to leave you a link for the review and summary. You can probably watch that review and summary if you don't want to read the book. You just want to get the content. But don't be that guy. Go ahead and read the entire book. Now, lastly, what is the 5th book I would like to recommend you? Okay, the 5th book is going to be a bit of a cliche. You must have heard about this book. It's called Shantaram, and it's written by Gregory David Roberts. Gregory David Roberts is an Australian, and Shantaram, as the name might suggest, is about an Indian man or a guy living in India. So here's the story of Shantaram. A convict escapes from Australian prison. That convict goes and jumps the front wall of the prison to escape, and he finds his way to the airport, and somehow he forges his papers, and he arrives in Mumbai, India, and he is beyond stunned by what he is seeing. And as he reaches the airport, there's this tour guide who comes and approaches him and starts talking with him. That guy is hilarious. Wait a second. Let me just say one thing, guys. There is no book like Shantaram. I think it's the best of the best of the best. It might be the best book I've ever read. Best fiction book I've ever read. It comes to mind. Another book that comes to mind is The Fountainhead, but that's very philosophical. Whereas this is more wholesome and humorous, and it has a lot of funny things about India, which we as Indians don't probably notice. So Shantaram is a hilarious book. It'll make you cry like a baby. I challenge you not to cry once. Um, okay, that's stupid. Me challenging you. Like, I don't care. I really don't care that much. Alright, guys, so that was my 5 books. Let's see if I can do a recap from my brain of the 5 books I recommended. Last book I recommended to you was Shantaram, which is a fiction. Fiction means it's not a self-help. It's not based on real life or events, or maybe it is. Some people call it purple prose. You can Google what that means. That's Shantaram by Gregory Robbins. Maybe the best book of this series. Number 2, I recommended somewhere Mel Robbins' 5-Second Rule. That's the only non-fiction book here. Number 3, Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. Number 4, Catcher in the Rye. Must-read book. And number 5, I think it was Bonfire of the Vanities by Wolfe. These 5 books you must read. And if you're not going to read this, I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to watch 3, 4, 5 films on Netflix. You're probably going to WhatsApp your friends and waste your life. You're never going to learn shit from your friends. I suggest you really read and get your hands dirty. I hope you like my new setup. I've changed things a bit in my room. Alright guys, thank you for watching. This was 5 books you must read in the lockdown. And I have very mixed feelings about the lockdown. Today is April 1, but there's no April Fool joke. Too old for that. Bye.